How offensive could this show possibly be?
That is the gist of what I'm saying. 1,000 apologies.
Oh, blimey. Now I'm not understanding what you are saying.
Long the lugged lock, the laggard.
Hello everyone, my name is Kara Means Spicy. Welcome to my channel. Today I would like to introduce to you a show that holds a very dear place in my heart, Mind Your Language. Mind Your Language was a British TV show that aired from the years 1977 to 1979. The show followed a group of 10 adults taking a night class, English as a foreign language, taught by a prim and proper Englishman, Mr. Jeremy Brown. Those 10 people hailed from all different corners of the world with their own quirks and eccentricities. The premise of the sitcom is that all of Mr. Brown's students are utterly hopeless. Try as they might, they just cannot get a grasp on the English language. And that's where the comedy comes in.
Construct a sentence using the word indisposition. Sure. Every Saturday, I play football, and I am being the goalkeeper, because I like playing indisposition. Hey, higher. Excuse, please. No more higher. You are giving me naughty thoughts.
Me too, but I'm liking them very much.
All of the students are either stupid, annoying, or horny, or any combination of those three traits. The show massively exploits minorities and boils people down to the most basic and tiresome stereotypes. And yet, I still find myself laughing. You're laughing. This show exploits minorities, and you're laughing. I can't help but wonder what makes this show so special, you know? What makes the humor so unique that people today are still enjoying it? I can see the show for all its flaws, and yet, it doesn't feel racist? I know I sound crazy here, but stay with me, I think I have a point. What did they get right all those years ago? How did they take such a sensitive topic like race dynamics and make it funny? It's worth looking into. You might be thinking to yourself, God, this show came out nearly 50 years ago. Why talk about it now? The answer to that is quite simple. 50 years ago, I didn't have a YouTube channel. Now I do. So let's get into it. By the way, I don't know if you can tell, but I was trying to dress for the occasion. I tried to go a bit 70s today, but I ended up leaning more 60s, so we'll just go with it, you know? Whatever, it's fine. Let's meet our main characters now. So first off, we have the teacher himself, Mr. Jeremy Brown. He's an English teacher with a BA from Oxford. He tries his best to teach students basic English, but he's usually met with stupid answers.
Ranjit, where would you take a check?
Czechoslovakia.
Moving on to his students, we have Anna Schmidt, who is an au pair from West Germany. Yes, this show is so old, it predates the fall of the Berlin Wall. She's a no-nonsense type of girl, and she takes every question too literally.
Anna? Yeah. You will take charge of the class in my absence. I shall not be long. And don't stand for any nonsense.
Do not worry. I shall be standing for nothing. I shall be sitting down.
And where is everybody?
They are giving me stupid answers, so I sent them all home.
Then we have Eng Fav, who's also an au pair, but she's from France. She's a French woman, so you know what that means. She's a
very wonderful person.
She is constantly talking about romance and sex, and all the men of the class are absolutely infatuated with her.
I like England because the grass is so green and the people are so nice.
People?
Yes. Especially the man.
Quiet, quiet.
Englishmen are so charming, so handsome, and so sexy.
Then there's Maximilian Papandreou, or Max, who's a shipyard worker from Greece.
Max, she is. She is beautiful. She is wonderful.
Max is kind of a sleazeball in that he's constantly flirting with all the girls and he's lighting up cigars in the middle of class. I don't know, maybe that's a turn on for some of you. I will say I am a huge fan of his unbuttoned shirts and his blue and green suits with the lapels out to like here. It's just so deliciously 70s. Then there's Taro Nagazumi, who's a tech businessman from Japan. He begins every sentence with a bow and ends every sentence with the letter O.
Awesome.
spent the weekend reading Booko by Charles Dickens.
Oh, which book were you reading of? Which?
There's Jamila Ranja, who's a woman from India. They don't really specify whether or not she has a job, but she's always seen knitting in the show, so I don't know, maybe she's an Etsy seller. She's one of the students who starts the class off by not speaking a word of English, but as the TV show progresses, she learns to pick up more English, and she starts speaking in full and coherent sentences. Sort of.
He was man who was be very strong. One night, he is be fancy a bit of hanky-panky with women. So, he is be hanky-pankying, and she is be ask him how he is be very strong. And he is be tell her it is in his long hair. So, one night when he is be fast asleep, she is be give him shorty back and sides. And when he is wake, he is be take prisoner and blinded. But when his hair is be grow long again, he is be pulled down palace.
Is that the authorized version?
There's Juan Cervantes, a bartender from Spain. He also starts the class not being able to speak English. He only speaks Spanish at first, but he later picks up English.
Juan,
Yes, senor.
if you felt ill, what would you do?
Go to bed.
Before that,
Take the clothes off.
you would go to the doctors.
No, doctor. Doctor killed my uncle in Madrid.
One thing I love about Juan, everyone else in the class looks like they're from the 1970s. What with their skin-tight pants and their foot-long coat lapels. Everyone dresses like they're from the 1970s. Juan looks like he's from the 1700s. Then there's Giovanni Capello, who is a cook in a restaurant from Italy.
A waiter? No, not a waiter. A cuckoda. Say, a cook the ravioli, a cook the spaghetti, a cook the lasagna.
He's a simple-minded man whose only interests seem to be football and girls. Out of everyone in the show, I would say Giovanni has my favorite catchphrases.
Hockey cocky.
Santa Maria.
Holy ravioli.
Holy ravioli is definitely entering the daily rotation. I would argue that the character who got shafted the hardest...
What? Pause.
I would argue that the character who got the shortest end of the stick is the Chinese student Chung Soo Lee, who's a secretary for a Chinese diplomat. I feel like when the writers were trying to come up with her character, they had absolutely no idea what a Chinese person was. Let's see, we gotta write a Chinese character, yeah? So, what do I know about China? China. Let's see, communism. They got Mao Zedong in his little red book. And they switch all their L's and their R's. Okay, I think we have enough to write a Chinese character now.
Shuli, your subject, philosophy.
Very good. In Democratic Republic of China, philosophy is for the proletariat, where all property invested in community, each member working according to his capacity and receiving according to his wants, as opposed to Western philosophy, where...
And lastly, we have Ali Nadeem, a traveling salesman from Pakistan, and Ranjit Singh, a underground railroad... Underground railroad? What is it? The Tube! He works on the Tube! Ranjit Singh, a London Underground employee from Punjab, India. Now, I know everyone in this show is supposed to be a little bit stupid and, you know, they can't speak English properly. That's the whole premise of the show. But there's something about Ali and Ranjit, and I think I'm allowed to say this because I'm of South Asian descent. Ali and Ranjit are exceptionally stupid.
Are you in Mr. Brown's class?
No, I am in corridor.
शुक्र है मास्टर जी आप लोग आ गए मुझे यहाँ से बचाने के लिए इनको समझाओ तो सही जरा जी
What did she say, Ali?
शुक्र है मास्टर जी आप लोग को बचाने के लिए आप
Given that the City of London's current population is nearly 1/5 South Asian, I think it's really fascinating to see how British people used to view South Asians back in the day. It's a less than flattering depiction, of course. Coupled with their pronounced accents and their broken English, a lot of their customs seem to be depicted as unusual and bizarre. For example, Ranjit is shown pulling out his knife on multiple students, threatening to shank them. And in one episode, Ali is seen trying to take a second wife because his first wife can't get pregnant. And Ali and Ranjit are constantly seen bickering and fighting with each other, which I wish I could say that was an exaggeration, but it low-key isn't. The first time I saw Mind Your Language was in India. It was coming on the channel Z Cafe. Everyone in my family absolutely loves Mind Your Language. I grew up watching this show with my family after dinner, so it's safe to say that Indians don't take offense to their portrayal in this show. But keep in mind, I don't speak for all Indians. I'm pretty sure there's at least one Indian person out there who watches Mind Your Language and has steam coming out of their ears whenever Ranjit opens his mouth. I just gotta put that out there. What makes this funny and not racist? I think the simplest answer to that would be everybody is getting made fun of in this show, therefore nobody has the right to get offended. But I think it's deeper than that. What makes Ali and Ranjit hilarious as opposed to cringe, like, I don't know, Raj from The Big Bang Theory? I think that comes down to execution. The jokes on paper can very quickly turn into racist town, but it doesn't, and I think that can be attributed entirely to the stellar acting. Corny jokes call for corny and over-the-top acting. The director asked for a bumbling foreign idiot, and Ali and Ranjit said, "Say less!"
Do you know it takes 2 Sikhs to milk 1 goat? 2? Yes, please. 1 to be holding the tits and 1 to be pulling the goat up and down, up and down.
And do you know that in Pakistan they have no ice? Because the man who is knowing to be making ice has emigrated.
Also, I feel like it's kind of hard to get offended at something that is just so silly.
There's a little yellow idol to the north of Kathmandu.
I am saying.
Yes, please.
Why is the rhinoceros being like an elephant?
Why is a rhinoceros is like being an elephant?
Because neither of them can ride a bicycle.
This is the 1970s version of shitposting. It is stupid as hell, and if it isn't already obvious, I am entertained by stupid things. Not just Ali and Ranjit, but I think every single actor did an absolutely fantastic job with their role. I would not be surprised if each and every one of these actors were like classically trained theater actors before being cast in this show. Even Sue Lee, she's an amazing actress and that shines through even though she's given such a narrow role. I can't speak to whether or not she's an offensive portrayal of a Chinese woman because I'm not Chinese, but I will say this, she played the shit out of that role.
Chairman Mao, he say, in the conditions prevailing in China today, the contradictions among the people comprise the contradictions among the working classes, the contradiction among the peasantry,
The director asked for communist fembot, and by Jove, she gave communist fembot. Another person who went above and beyond with a narrow role is Danielle. Her character is meant to be nothing more than just eye candy for the class. However, she's not just an object of desire, she too also actively desires other men, namely the teacher, Mr. Brown. At every chance she gets, Danielle is literally throwing herself on Mr. Brown. And because he's her teacher, Mr. Brown obviously rejects all her advances, but that doesn't seem to hinder Danielle one bit. And finally, I would like to give an honorable mention to 2 more students who briefly show up in the second season. There's Ingrid, who's an au pair from Sweden. She's another girl who's just supposed to be eye candy for the class.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
I here come to English learn. We together sit.
As much as I would love to sit here and rant about the objectification of women, I see Ingrid walking into class with her big blonde hair and a t-shirt with her name printed across her tits. Honestly, it's a slay. What can I say? And Zoltan, a Hungarian man who speaks 0 English. Even though he's only in the show for a few episodes, he's honestly one of my favorite characters because he literally just says one thing.
Boccianot, 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 boccianot.
How can you manage to be funny when all you can say is one word? It's pretty rare to see a show with this much diversity being showcased. It's also a pretty valuable insight into how British people used to view foreigners. Take note of how the students are collectively portrayed. Despite them all being full-grown adults with jobs, they all act like teenagers. It's textbook infantilization. They're seen flirting with each other, they're smoking and chewing gum in class, they all have that no thoughts, head empty smile on their face, and they're all making these immature jokes when they're supposed to be taking the class seriously, and they keep getting into fights with each other over the silliest little things. Notice how every single fight is broken up by Mr. Brown, the sensible, all-knowing, peace-loving Britisher, the only man that's capable of bringing peace to these savage foreigners. As much as they do make fun of these quote-unquote foreigners, this show also carves out time to poke fun at British people as well. Take, for instance, Sid, the school janitor. Sid speaks with a Cockney accent, which basically means that he speaks a form of English that is entirely incomprehensible.
Well, I went home and I had a bull and a cow with a trouble and stripe, you see. It was all over the dustbin lids. So I went down the frog and toad into the rubber dump and I met an old china plate. It looked a bit Uncle Dick, so I got him a Jack the Dandy and I had a reel in him. I staggered home, took all my dicky dirt and my daisy roots and fell backwards on the apples and pears.
If there's any British people watching this right now, 2 questions. 1, does anybody still talk like this? And 2, what the fuck is he saying? You know, I can't watch British TV without subtitles. The only reason I was even able to watch Mind Your Language is because most of them don't have a British accent. I genuinely have so much respect for people who immigrate to England with limited English skills. Like, deadass, how do they survive? Another silly British character that I really enjoy is Miss Courtney, the principal of the school. To me, Miss Courtney is like the stereotypical upper-class British lady. You know, she's very well-spoken and educated, but she also thinks that everybody's beneath her and she treats everybody like dirt. And she's got the silliest British accent.
Can anyone tell me what the first day of the week is?
Sunny day.
No, it is not sunny day.
Rainy day?
Repeat the word Sunday.
Sunday! Why did she say it like that? In fact, my favorite episode of Mind Your Language is when a Scottish chauffeur is enrolled in their class because his accent is so strong, literally nobody has any idea what he's saying.
What are you doing?
Having a dram. Oh, you fancy a touch of stag's breath yourself, why, Ron?
Certainly not.
Come on, Jimmy, I can't be expected to sit here and listen to Charlie Chapati claiming his wife.
Nothing, Ranjit. He's calling you Charlie Chapati.
I don't think you understand how obsessed I am with Charlie Chapati. I know it's supposed to be a racial insult, but it's just so good. Aside from being laugh out loud funny and having great actors, another reason why this show is so great is because of the sense of togetherness that all the characters have. All the actors have really great chemistry. Putting aside the times that they're fighting over silly things, they all seem to get along really well, and it's almost like they're one big family. Whenever one of them gets into trouble, every single person chips in to try and help solve their problems. For instance, when Mr. Brown gets sick, all of the students show up to his house and try to cheer him up. Just listen to how the class reacts when Mr. Brown tells them that he's an orphan.
Well, I must say I do often wonder sometimes whether I have any brothers or sisters. Hey, we be your brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. We all become one big happy family.
When talking about old sitcoms, people often say things like,
"Oh, they just don't make shows like this anymore. You could never make a TV show like this today."
And to that, I would say, why would you want to? Could you imagine a modern Mind Your Language remake? Could you imagine how unfunny it would be? Unfortunately for you, we don't have to imagine. In the 1980s, Mind Your Language was apparently remade into an American sitcom called What a Country.
And I heard that the new principal is really tough. He used to be a Marine.
He had to be tough growing up with his name like Marine.
That's United States Marines. I probably invaded one of your countries.
Racist Mr. Furley! Yeah, safe to say the American sister show did not receive nearly as much success as Mind Your Language did. As much as it pains me to say something nice about the British, they seem to have developed a sense of comedy that just cannot be replicated anywhere else in the world. Is there stuff in this show that doesn't sit right with me? Yes. But can I acknowledge its flaws while also appreciating the fact that the writers wrote a diverse cast at a time when most other TV shows didn't even think other groups of people existed besides wasps? Also, yes. When you take a script that is chock full of jokes and one-liners and pair it with actors who have great comedic timing, you simply just can't go wrong.
So let's take the word F-A-T. Now that has a flat A sound. But if we add an E to the end of fat, then what do we have?
Fatty.
That's it for me today. I would love to do more deep dives like this into other TV shows, specifically TV shows that deal with racial humor. I think that would be a lot of fun. So let me know if this was interesting to you or not. Subscribe if you want to see more. Follow me on Instagram. Not only do I post all my silly little embroideries on there, but I also post my daily deranged thoughts on stories for your viewing pleasure. So follow me on Instagram if you want to as well, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now. I did so many spit takes that I actually laid a towel out on the floor in front of me.